So today we're going to be looking at the IRIX 45mm T1.5 Cine Lens. I'll be discussing my thoughts on it and how well it plays out in the field with the Sony FX6. So, with all that out of the way, let's get started. So I was looking at my lenses for the FX6 and I realized I wanted to increase production value for projects. And after a lot of research, I decided to take a chance on a newer, lesser known company. So IRIX is that newer lens company and their lineup has some pretty odd focal lengths. But I decided to give it a go on this 45mm T1.5. And the reason I chose this focal length is because 90% of the commercial work I do, typically I'm filming in that 50mm focal length range. So what do I look for in a lens? Well, it depends case by case, but generally I look for lenses that have excellent image quality, zero chromatic aberration, zero distortion, and great ergonomics, in case I go handheld. If the lens is lightweight, as so many newer lenses are now, that's a plus as well. I tend to thank myself later when I'm going handheld for long periods of time. I also like to ensure the lens does not have any focus breathing. Any focus breathing or focus pulsing is a non-starter for me. And finally, I look for which focal length suits me best. And the focal length is informed by the specific purpose I have in mind. For example, I wanted a cine-style lens that achieves a pleasing, sharp, and clear image with a 50mm focal length. I wanted it to be great in low light, and for this particular lens, I did not expect a lightweight solution, as cine lenses by and large are much heavier and bulkier than traditional photo lenses. Now, budgetarily, I was looking for a cine lens that would be high enough in quality, but would be inexpensive enough to make sense if I were to eventually broaden my purchase over time and buy a whole set of cine lenses. So this lens comes in under $1,500. It's about 2.5 pounds, so it's the same weight as the FX6 actually, and it's pretty lightweight for a cine lens. The lens is constructed of aluminum and magnesium alloy. This lens is also weather sealed, so there shouldn't be any concerns filming outdoors. So that is a brief overview of the lens's features that I find the most noteworthy. I won't go over all the specs, as I find reading spec sheets to be a little bit tedious. I'd rather focus on how this lens works out in the field. I filmed with the FX6 and S-Log3 S-Gamma 3 Cine. I simply added a Rec. 709 LUT and I made minimal color correction adjustments to really keep the footage's colors simple and unambiguous, so you can better judge for yourself. Now, what I'm looking for in this footage is how well does the lens reproduce the images filmed? Is there any chromatic aberration or distortion? How is the highlight roll-off? Does it nail critical focus pretty well? So from a usability standpoint, how well does this lens play out in the field? Because you might achieve the best images with a lens, but at the same time, if the user experience is lacking, that could be an issue. So while I was out there filming, I was asking myself, can I nail critical focus pretty easily? How is the focus throw on the lens? How are the ergonomics? How well does the weight distribution play out between the FX6 and the IRIX 45mm T1.5? Because I do intend to use the FX6 with this lens. So the weight distribution is interesting because the lens is heavier than the FX6, but not necessarily by much. So while it is a front heavy system, it didn't really bother me too much. So those are my thoughts on the lens overall. The footage I found reproduced colors very well. I like solar flares using this lens. It produces a nice, clean canvas to sort of work on. If I want to add effects later on in post, I can do that. But is this lens right for you and your uses? Well, that entirely depends on you. Now, if you're looking to do, say, run and gun event videography, and you're looking for an autofocus lens solution, this would of course not be a good fit for that. If, however, you're looking to bump up your production value and you have a slim or modest budget to work with, this IRIX Cine Lens may be a good fit for what you're doing. And maybe you work with the same system or perhaps a different Cine Lens system. If so, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you found this video helpful or insightful, give a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.